ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Warfare. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Nathaniel Ginger.
What up, folks? It's Nathaniel. I always thought I might be okay with grenades because they're probably about the size and the weight of a baseball.
They designed them that way,
right?
In World War II. They made them the same kind of weight and shape of a baseball because they knew how good Americans were at throwing baseballs. And they had kind of an advantage on that front because the Germans made them those stupid stick ones. Yeah, and that was stupid. But no, they knew Americans were really good at throwing baseballs, and so they were like, "We're gonna make our grenades round and the weight of a baseball."
So yeah, I feel like that would be okay. But I would always be afraid that, like, you know, the timer's not right, or something else is going on there. So
I don't want to be handling those.
And when I play video games, I forget about grenades way too much. That I feel like is a distinctive thing about me when I knew I was not destined to be a gamer, which was I was probably in like 5th or 6th grade, and I was like, damn, I don't use grenades enough. And
forgot about the right bumper.
Yeah, that's right. I was born to be a PS1 player. Single triggers on the controller is about all I got. Did you ever get those and try and do it with like your index finger on the bumper and like your middle finger on the trigger?
Like doing this?
Yeah. Because it almost feels intuitive, right?
It that way.
Yeah, but it just never really works.
But it doesn't work out long term. What Halo
I tried, couldn't master it though.
Right?
Yeah. What was popular, especially, you know, in the mid 2000s before they had the controllers with the paddles and everything, and some people still do it, but it's called the claw, where it's your right hand, you use your index finger to push the buttons. So you keep your thumb on the stick the whole time.
Right,
and
so you're almost using the side of your index finger, kind of?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you have to like move it down like this almost. I don't know if
and now all those kids' hands look like that permanently.
And now they that's a very real thing, is like the like old,
they get like carpal tunnel on a single finger.
No, genuinely, like they develop wrist issues because of how they held their controller. And like it's a very real thing. Like it sounds funny, and it is kind of funny, but no, dude, like people have developed carpal tunnel and problems from doing claw. So yeah,
well, there you go, folks.
Just get a controller with paddles
or joystick.
Fine.
Are you putting air quotes because you're quoting claw, or because that's your claw?
It's the claw.
I was quoting
claw
as in the word, like that's what the term claw. Yeah. Also joining us today, call on me, Tyler Verdalis.
Go ahead and call on me.
We'll get to it, but an absolute banger of an opening scene. Let me tell you. Not really a spoiler. Not really a spoiler, because, you know, if you're gonna go see this movie, it's the first thing you see. But what a
bad first scene.
What a get hype moment, you know?
For sure, especially at that time.
Yeah. I have seen jokes about people saying "Call on Me" is going to be the song of the summer now because of this movie.
It's this year's Murder on the Dance Floor for sure.
Yeah.
Too bad it's 7 minutes
in
the unedited version. Anyone else look that up after the move? Go on Spotify and they're like, "Oh shit! This is 3 minutes of build up."
Yeah, I really do need a condensed version, but
I don't even
the radio.
I don't even know if it's the song that we need for it to be the summer. I just hope more people are just pelvic thrusting at their homies across the street.
Well, that too.
That's all.
That's
no longer do I want to see like the
brother. I never stopped.
Or, anything like that. I want you to see your friends from across the street or like a restaurant or Starbucks or whatever, and I just want you to give them a good couple pelvic thrusts and then just move on with your day.
I can get behind this.
Can confirm. I mean, I've been doing that for years. I'm on several lists, but you know, that is my greeting.
Well, you gotta put something on under the trench coat, Nathaniel. You can't just go around.
Well, I mean, I thought that the mankini was flesh colored. All right.
Oh God.
What's the South Park episode where he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this was America." He's at his kid's baseball game.
Yeah.
He's just fucked up.
Such an awesome show, man. South Park is one of those shows that actually got better the older I got.
Legendary.
Like when I was like young, it was like, I think I like Family Guy more. You know what I mean? As I've gotten older, it's like I really like South Park.
You just realize how deep the humor goes
For sure.
with South Park.
Yeah, but South Park's not one I go back and rewatch. Like, there's certain episodes you do, but I wouldn't like.
Right.
I wouldn't like be like, oh, I'm gonna start South Park from the beginning now. Like in 2025, it would just not hit.
Episodes for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's tough too because they do so many timely current event jokes
Yeah.
and bits and stuff where like
It just
there's
ages
going to be
like
references I
milk.
just would never understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when when they come out, they're hot. You know.
For sure. But that gold tier of Family Guy is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's true
now,
too.
honestly, American Dad isn't bad. I don't know what the guy's bad on that.
I feel like the next gen actually likes American Dad more than Family Guy. I feel like that's been a growing trend in the last few years.
Yeah. They've got some bits in American Dad, man, that are pretty fucking funny.
Well, and all this
I went
also
back and forth for a while for sure.
this is also like we are just like one micro generation younger. Otherwise, we would all be talking about The Simpsons. That's been like
that's very true.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
like my understanding is like
Yeah.
everyone a little bit older than me, their animated show was The Simpsons. Just was.
Yeah. Which I don't care for, to be honest with you.
Never.
I
I
also
yeah.
don't care for it.
seen the movie. That's it. Really. Like.
Yeah. Now, Ty,
think
you're the
my-
oldest of us. Did you ever watch Simpsons? The
Yeah, I
Simpsons?
mean every now and then, but it wasn't like anything that
sure.
like I had to absolutely watch. I was so on the other side of the spectrum into like anime, where like
Sure.
that was the more important part of like my television watching as a kid versus
Yeah.
like the Simpsons or anything else. But yeah, like Family Guy was a big one for me too.
Yeah,
And
for
then yeah, American Dad was also one that I flip flop back and forth on, you know, whether or not I like that or Family Guy more. I think like the most iconic episode for me from American Dad was
Is it the couch or the
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve and his buddies
Yeah,
basically just
yeah.
dry humping the ottoman,
ottoman,
to
yeah.
Genuine, Pony
Yeah.
Genuine.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that scene is just absolutely iconic in my opinion.
Yeah,
One of the
and
best scenes.
what also makes American Dad hilarious is that like it's canon that like Steve can sing his ass off.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
American Dad,
Yeah.
and there's so many random scenes where he just cuts to it. It's like, oh, he's actually
Yeah,
singing.
just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
just
funny,
because
man.
Seth MacFarlane loves singing show tunes, basically.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, man.
I haven't seen enough American Dad to have a strong opinion on it.
I'm
so
Telling you, I challenge you, man. Go put on a few
It's good,
episodes.
man.
They've got some gems in there quietly, man.
For sure. Yeah. Roger's a game changer too.
I believe
For
it.
sure.
I think I would take a Roger over a Brian.
An alien over a dog.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with Ty.
Right in, listeners. You tell us what you would take.
The thing is,
Yeah.
though, is that Roger's a
right in,
stronger.
Ryan. Let us know what you think.
yeah. The thing is I think Roger is like an S tier character in American Dad, where I think there's other characters in Family Guy I'm pulling before I pull Brian,
Fair enough.
if that makes sense.
I'm with you.
So, yeah.
Rounding out the
it's-
squadron today, of course. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say really quick, as far as The Simpsons, though, did anyone play the video game The Simpsons Hit and
Hit
Run?
and run. That was probably
Oh,
my
for
other
sure.
access to The Simpsons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my real path to The
Yeah.
Simpsons. That game is fucking awesome.
That and our librarian in middle school painted a big Simpsons mural on the wall for some reason. Don't know
Hmm.
why.
Yeah. Classic.
Rounding out the squadron today, of course, is Big Bogey BlakeHolder.
There it is. What up? What up?
Was able to find the B for this week's episode. It wasn't readily available for me, but we found it.
Hey man, you play bogey
Yeah.
golf. You're under 100. You're a pretty low handicapper.
That's my goal for this summer.
That's right.
I can't wait to just go out on the course, and I'm just a natural at golf, and I'm just slinging it. I can I hit sub 90 by the end of the summer.
Listen, man, you got the right complexion, the right
on the way.
hairstyle. You put on a
Thank you.
polo
You're right.
and a white belt with some sort of weird Velcro, and you'll probably drop your score at least 5 strokes.
Wow. Finally, something I'm naturally gifted at, I guess. I don't know.
Papa's in. You're gonna
that's-
get at least another 3 off there,
There you
too.
go. Yeah. That's funny. But no, I am actively looking at golf stuff. I'm excited at the links. But Blake, how you doing, man? How was Omaha?
Solid, man. It was cool.
Had a day trip to Omaha. I'm not
Home
sure
of
a ton
the
people are doing
College World
doing that
Series.
these days.
Blake's one time that he watches baseball. So
Yeah, so
There you go.
it was cool to see that stadium, right?
Okay, fair
Full
enough.
fledged. It's not like I got a tour of anything of it, but like I saw it in a Uber, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I've seen that before, right? One of those.
That's my only time going to Omaha was for like a baseball tournament that was happening at the same time as the College World
Okay.
Series.
Yeah.
That I think that was maybe 13U.
Sure.
that is
Yeah,
genuinely one of my
13.
favorite.
Nice size city, man.
That's one of my
Go ahead,
favorite
Adam.
Blake
Yeah, it's
facts
decent.
to tell people is just like, yeah, I got this friend Blake. He doesn't watch baseball, but he loves the College World Series for whatever reason. Like,
Yeah, it makes no sense, brother. No sense.
Guy's never been to a baseball game, I'm pretty sure, but he doesn't watch the College World
Hey
Series
man,
at least
it's
once a
grown
year.
men with metal bats. I see the appeal.
The pings
I
are
see
great.
the
I love
appeal,
the
you know?
pings. Like,
Yeah, I think it's the sound of the pings, and also I think I get a kick out of seeing the like before they get deep into the tournament. I get a kick out of seeing the actual baseball facilities at the different universities.
Sure, okay.
Because some of them are like fucking ridiculous compared to
Yeah.
the other schools.
Yeah,
like
sure.
you look at like Texas A&M and like Arkansas and Florida.
I was one of the
Looks
reasons.
totally different than when they play at like fucking
Yeah,
Indiana.
It's one of the
I mean,
reasons.
it's like not even remotely the same.
Don't look at Mizzou's stadium. It's not.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I chose North Central because Elmhurst was the other school that was recruiting me, but they played in a park.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'm not
Sure.
fucking playing my college career in a fucking park. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will play at the school that has an actual stadium. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the discrepancy is it's incredibly fascinating to me, man. To be honest with you, so yeah, I think that's kind of the kick I get out of it. But yeah, I'll be watching here soon. I would imagine that's got to start in the next about 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Right,
it's
after it
usually in
lines up
May.
at the end of the school semester. Yeah.
I think it's usually, if I remember correctly, it's either like the week before or the week after the semester ended at Mizzou.
Yeah,
so
I think all
it's sometime
those-
in May.
Oh, you've been there
Yeah,
now.
I think you're right.
Take a
I
quick
believe
trip
all
back.
those spring.
Yeah.
I believe all of the spring collegiate sports. Yeah, I think they're like postseason playoffs, whatever you want to call it. I think
Yeah.
they start at the end of the school year, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it a baseball team last year that like the school was being dissolved, but and no longer existed at the end of the academic year, but the baseball team for the school was like on some incredible run in their playoffs. Like they didn't make the College World
don't
Series
know.
or anything. But I remember hearing the story last year. It was like some like small, I think it would maybe even been like a D3 school or maybe even
That's
a JUCO
us.
school. But it was like, yeah, it was a very small school, but the school was going under and like was being dissolved. And at the day that finals ended, it was like, all right, we're no longer an institution. But the baseball team for the school went on a
It's still
miraculous.
rolling.
Man.
Yeah, it went on a
Yeah.
miraculous playoff run. So they're playing for nothing. They're playing for nobody. like barely even.
If Hollywood was
an
healthy, we'd
institution.
have a TV movie of
Oh my
this by
God.
already.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what we need. That's
No,
that's an original idea.
I don't know the school because obviously it doesn't even exist anymore. But it was like some
Yeah,
kind of miraculous
what
story
the fuck
last
is
year. during
Netflix
one
doing?
of the
Get on this
baseball
shit.
tournaments.
Like,
For real.
Yeah,
That will be a documentary one day, I'm sure.
I'll
HBO
tell you
Max
what
is
Netflix is doing.
throwing billions of dollars around. Throw some that
Yeah.
guy's way.
Well,
The pin.
gentlemen,
You're on the
while we're waiting for the underdog baseball documentary, we did have a movie hold us over this week. That was the movie Warfare. Let's get talking about that. Nathaniel, if listener here is new or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how our review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new, or perhaps you've forgotten, the way the review segment works here at Back Row Banter is it is split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all of that good stuff. We'll go around the squadron and decide if we would recommend the movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. From then on, it'll be spoiler time. We'll play a spoiler noise so you don't have anything spoiled for you. But any big plot twists or spoilers we'll talk about during that time. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, make sure to check the show notes so you can see where we finish our spoiler talk and where you can come back to see where we rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've ever watched on the podcast ranked. With that being said, Adam, tell me about Warfare.
I would love to. This is a new movie, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.9 out of 10. It is written and directed by Mr. Alex Garland, who we are all familiar, and most listeners, I'm sure, are familiar with. He's done Ex Machina. He did Civil War last year. He did
Men.
He did Men, and he did Annihilation, and then I think that's all of his.
We have
filmography. Am I missing one?
Well, technically, 28 Days Later is written
28 Days
by
Later,
him.
too.
Is written.
Yep, yeah.
28 Years is more or less directed by him. And
Shadow
written.
directed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have not
Ex
gotten
Machina.
Dread. We have not gotten Dread on the podcast as well, too.
No, but that'd be awesome.
Did you mention Ex Machina, Adam? I'm sorry,
I believe I did.
reading something.
But Ex
Okay.
Machina, of course.
Did we do that for the
if
pod
it
yet?
wasn't mentioned already.
We
Yes,
have,
we
brother.
have.
It's ranked pretty high.
Co-directing and
Wanna say
co-writing.
40-something?
I don't remember. But co-directing, co-writing with Mr. Garland is Ray Mendoza, who you might not be as familiar with, but he is more of a military war gunfighting consultant in Hollywood, from my understanding.
He was the stunt
at-
coordinator on Civil War.
Correct. Yes. Or I don't know what is it called? Stunt coordination? What do they call them?
Oh, that's
Military advisor was his position.
I was
Military advisor. There you go.
Yeah, I was reading
Huh?
another reviewer who referred to him as stunt coordinator, so I think he might have had something.
I'm
to
sure
do
they're
with-
very
yeah.
similar positions. I'm sure it's very similar. He had that role, but yeah, he kind of fills in that role. Just gives kind of directing advice and that kind of thing for war movies, action movies that involve a lot of military and guns and whatnot. And backstory for this movie specifically and why this is kind of co-written, co-directed. This is based on true story. Ray Mendoza did serve in the military. The events of the film involved Ray Mendoza and what happened while he was deployed in Iraq in 2006. And then this, from my understanding, what I heard is while working on Civil War, he told the story of this movie to Alex Garland. And then after hearing this, decided, hey, like this, we could make a movie out of this. And the biggest motivation being Elliot, one of the main characters, quote unquote, or main people featured in the film. He doesn't remember the events of this movie. And this was kind of a way of portraying that to him so he could kind of have that, so he could see almost what happened. It's kind of like the baseline premise of how this came to be. And so Ray Mendoza, first-time director, it seems, and first-time writer. I don't know. If looking at his IMDb, it doesn't look like he's been in those roles before. But he's got quite a few credits in terms of his military advising, technical advising, whatever you want to call it. He's done Civil War, obviously, but he's also got Lone Survivor and Act of Valor. Those came out about a decade ago or so.
Oh man, yeah.
So
okay,
he's been around. Yeah.
that puts things a little bit more in perspective.
I like Lone Survivor, and I will not hear otherwise.
Sure.
Anyway, the cast includes Joseph Quinn, DeFora Woon. Wow.
It's a name.
DeFaro Wunatai. There's that's a.
Who plays
I was
Ray?
not expecting that one. Who plays Ray Mendoza? Yeah, thank you. Who played Ray Mendoza? Cosmo Jarvis. Wow,
Yeah,
great name.
That's our boy from Shogun. That's Japan's.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
the
put that
Japans.
together. No, that makes a lot of sense. All right, the Japans. All right, cool. Aaron McKenzie. I'm gonna find. There's a ton of people
Will
here.
Poulter, Charlie Morton,
Will Poulter,
or Moulton.
Charlie. It's where is his name?
Morton's the pitcher. Moulton, I think, is the actor.
Melton.
Okay.
And then Noah Centineo is probably the other name that people would recognize.
And Gandolfini's kid is in this. He's one of the other guys as well too.
Michael.
Yep.
Michael Gandolfini.
He's in Daredevil, Born Again.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I saw him, I was like, oh shit. I was
That's
like,
one of our
I've
boys.
just been watching you from like week to week. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, and he's also returning from the pod. He's in that Bob Marley "One Love" film that we actually have on the pod.
I just spotted that.
Yeah.
Is he Wilson Fisk's kid in that? Tyler?
He's not his kid. He's basically
Howard
like
Bloom.
he's like an intern.
He's talking about Daredevil Born Again, Adam.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about
No. He's just like a young kid that's trying to get into politics, and then he says something in front of Wilson, and then he's basically like, I like you.
Okay.
Come with me.
That's a good D'Onofrio.
Thanks, man.
Vanessa, I don't know.
Don't piss me off.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, there you have it. I think that's their big parts of the cast here. But good cast, good crew. Very well acted here. The IMDb summary for the movie reads as follows: a platoon of Navy SEALs embark on a dangerous mission in Ramadi, Iraq, with the chaos and brotherhood of war retold through their memories of the event. And that is another piece of the story. Is they went through and because they wanted to make this more of like a not necessarily an homage, but they made this movie for Elliot, for Ray Mendoza's friend and comrade Elliot. They try to make this kind of as accurate to the events as possible. So they went through and interviewed all the people that were there that day, and kind of try to retell the story based on everything that everybody remembers, and kind of piecing that all together to make sure that it was kind of as accurate of a portrayal of events as they could get.
Mm-hmm.
Which definitely comes across in the movie. This is now obviously I don't have combat experience, but from reviews online and what I've seen, this is being called and kind of being said as one of the more accurate depictions of what modern war and modern combat looks like. And after watching this movie, I can definitely understand that. And this definitely doesn't feel like your normal Hollywood, war movie or Hollywood action movie. There's lots of things in this movie where you're kind of almost as a viewer anticipating the Hollywood action sequences to begin. And they almost shoot it that way. It feels like kind of intentionally of like, hey, this is where, this kind of thing would happen in a different movie, but this isn't that kind of movie kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely feels pretty accurate, pretty real to the things going on there. And Ray Mendoza, I feel like definitely did a good job of trying to kind of portray what it is like to be in those situations. But how are you feeling here, fellas? 7.9 IMDb rating. It's getting pretty good reviews all around. I've seen a lot of good buzz about the movie. Blake and I did end up seeing this together in IMAX last week.
Yeah,
which was a good with Mr. Holder with Papa Holder.
Hell yeah! So kick us off, Blake. How did you take it, and then how did Papa Holder take it as well too?
Yeah.
We get a celebrity cup here.
For sure. I'll kind of speak for both of us conjointly because it seemed like we agreed on a lot of things. I really like this movie. That's kind of straight to the point, but kind of from all the research I've been doing, everything I've been looking at, to Adam's point, it's definitely one of the most accurate portrayals of modern warfare, no pun intended. And you kind of go into it, for lack of a better term, and apologies because I feel like I'm speaking for people who have their own opinions. I would imagine this is the film that a lot of people thought Civil War would be. It's something similar to this.
Okay.
Right. And I think having seen Civil War first and then going into this was pleasantly surprised. And overall, I really liked it. I was talking to my dad about it afterwards. We caught up on the phone the next day about it too. And he thoroughly enjoys it as well. And just it goes without being said because it's kind of the same team behind Civil War, and you're going to hear us echo that a ton. But the sound design on this movie is fucking insane.
It's very good. Very, very good.
That's like that's your price of admission, in my opinion. Like not seeing this in theaters, I think you're robbing yourself of a phenomenal theater experience. From the actual shell casings of bullets dropping, the actual reload sounds, your grenade explosions that aren't overly action cartoonish, right? Which my dad and Adam talked about afterwards. Like, yeah, you're so accustomed to Hollywood action movies, as Adam's saying, where you see a grenade going to hole. It's like, oh, like this thing's gonna like fucking blow the roof off of something, right? And in reality, it blows up, and like you get the shrapnel that may damage
one
somebody
guy.
Or damage some wall.
Yeah, I think like one guy gets seriously hurt, kind of thing, but everyone else is kind of like, oh, like you were pretty close to that thing, and like you don't seem to be too fucked up about it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's very. It is interesting how it walks that line a lot.
Yeah, and you get kind of, I guess, spoiled and intrigued by that as a viewer because that's not what you see in other films.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I mean, it was a great viewing experience. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Also, the more you get into it and more research you do, it's actually told in real time once they get to the daytime shots of them holding down in the house. So you essentially they're waiting for. We'll talk about it when we get into spoilers, but yeah, essentially waiting for some other people to come along. That's filmed in real time, where I think it's like 7 or 8 minutes, and like it's the longest fucking 7 or 8 minutes while they're sitting there. But yeah, overall, as I keep echoing myself, pleasantly surprised. Thoroughly enjoyed the movie. My dad shares the same sentiments as well. Who's also an A-list member. Shout out Pops.
Hell yeah.
Member, so he's in there running some A-list numbers amok,
AMC,
as they say.
It's time. Sponsor the pod. This is your chance.
Genuinely.
I agree, man. I think
I
we've
would never
put a lot of people into A-list.
Oh, I have.
I know
I have two very close friends of mine that are now like entourage members. We go see movies together often, and it's like I got my dad. I've made AMC money. Like it's time you pay me some back. But
but yeah, those are kind of my quick thoughts. So we'll jump into everything in terms of how it's shot, how action plays out, different portrayals. It's not a war propaganda film by any means. It's very bleak how war is. So those are kind of my 2 cents. Nathaniel, Ty?
You are, Nathaniel.
I bounced off this hard, guys. I bounced off it real hard. I felt lukewarm about this movie in the theater itself, and I will say that I have thought about it a lot since then, but as a movie, I don't find a whole lot that like seems like a movie to me. It rings as this super realistic, gritty, tense recreation of these moments in these guys' lives, but there's not a lot of a movie there for me. And I think that's on purpose. Like I think they've done that, and like they go out of their way, right? Like to say there's no soundtrack, there is no it happens in real time. The sound design is like top notch. There's no like you start off and you're in it, like you're following these guys. But for me, I just found myself I was having a real tough time finding a way into the movie. And then at a certain point the action started and I was like, I just don't care about any of these people. Like I don't have a thing to something about them, a character design, the movie starts with that great, like we've talked, the call on me bit, but then like I see the people and I see the actors I recognize, and then it's immediately a night shot. It's immediately a raid at night where I can't tell who anyone fucking is. I don't have any way to tell which character is which because it's so dedicated to realism that like you're not going to know who they are. And so then like the thing kind of kicks off, the whole scene start, and like this movie really because in moments it made me so tense and so viscerally aware as a movie like Green Room, but then I found myself in those moments being like, well, I wish I was watching Green Room, where like I know these characters and I love them, and I feel something invested about them, right? Like and then the more I watched it, the more I was just like, okay, like I understand this, and like there's this second element of like I'm watching an American force show up in another country, take over a house, put them in a.
All right, I want to just clarify really quick. We're getting
close to spoilers.
There's some spoiler territory here that I want to just.
There's other things.
We're drawn. Yeah, we're crossing the line a little bit. Let's just.
Sorry, there's other things in it that
you're okay.
That I think I bounced off as well too, because I didn't have those. I didn't have those movie access points that I'm used to, which then made me, because I didn't have those, made me think like, brought me out of my suspension of disbelief and made me think about other things that were going on, which again I think is intentional, but like doesn't function as a movie for me at that point.
Sure.
So I'm definitely not as high on this as some of the other guys, but obviously I'm very excited to talk about it as well too. Tyler?
I'm gonna actually piggyback off of that, because I think everything you're saying in terms of like what is lacking in this movie, I think is 100% true, and is something that I share with you in terms of just lack of background, lack of connection, lack of kind of exposition in some ways of like what the events of this movie are. And you're right, I do, and I agree, and I'm glad you at least acknowledge that it's like that's very intentional to an extent. Where it's like this isn't supposed to be that kind of movie. It is more of the actual just kind of experience of what that is like, I think, and retelling that specific story. And obviously it's a very personal kind of movie for Ray Mendoza, the one of the primary filmmakers, as we already discussed. So, you know, that's obviously, those are all aspects that kind of add context to that. But that being said, like that's totally, like, it's totally reasonable for you to say that it doesn't resonate you because it's lacking those things. Like you're not wrong when you say those things. I'm not going to argue with your points. It's just, you know, those things are much more important to you when it comes to an actual movie experience. And there were things that, for, you know, the things you said definitely resonate with me, where like I had similar thoughts and feelings in my viewing experience and coming out of it.
Sure. The final button I'll put on it and then kind of transfer over to you here as well too, is that like, I came out of the movie like, okay, I want to know more about this. So like I looked up its IMDb and I looked up its Letterboxd, and I found out like, oh, Mendoza is this guy. He's made this with this idea ostensibly for his comrade and his friend Elliot to like recreate his memories and that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, show me that movie. I'm interested in that. Like, show me a documentary where Ray is going through and like talking with it. And it's like, this is what happened. And like, I want to know about, like, if you want to use this exercise as that, then like, yeah, I want to see how Ray and Elliot are talking about it, and like, give me those moments of humanity between them and like all of that kind of stuff. But like this recreation, this dedication to reality is interesting as a real-time experience, but it's not a movie. It's a faithful recreation of what happened. That's something else, you know. That's real life isn't a movie, you know. So I'll hand it over to you guys as well too. Adam, continue on.
So with all that being said, I think, you know, obviously this movie has flaws, and I think we kind of hit them on the head. There is, you know, hit them, a lot of them on the head, and my gripes with it. I have seen this. Did end up seeing this movie twice, actually. So I saw it Friday with Blake and BlakeHolder, but then my dad wanted to see it, and a buddy of mine wanted to see it on Sunday. So I rewatched. Coming out of the first time, I was kind of in between of like, I was more in line, honestly, with you, Nathaniel, where I was like, dude, there's just like, I was waiting for something to happen. And me and Blake even had that kind of conversation. It was like, I really enjoyed it, but I was always waiting for them to show a little bit more action, or at least like show, a little bit more. And obviously kind of sitting with it more, you realize like that's not the intent of this movie. Like you're used to the Hollywood kind of action and all that stuff. Like that's why you feel that way. Um, Now going into the second screening and kind of having my expectations set and just realizing it is more supposed to be for the experience of like being there and the story and all that kind of stuff. I did kind of settle into that a little bit more and embrace that a little bit more, and really enjoyed my second viewing of it, in terms of just like, wow, this is really, it's kind of, we already talked about like the sound design, the way they kind of play everything out in real time, um, and just a really kind of crazy series of events at the end of the day. I do think it's kind of well made for just kind of making you experience those things and putting you there with that, with that, I don't know what you'd call them, squad, battalion, whatever it is. But with those group of soldiers, I think it does it so well. And the style of war and action, I think this will be, for better for worse, whether you like it or not. Like I think this will be one of those movies, and Civil War I think was along those lines too, or it had a play in this. But I think we're going to see more of the style, not maybe necessarily the style of movie of like, oh, it's just an isolation 90 minutes of like this real event happened or anything, but the way this movie shot, the sound design of it and everything, like I think this is going to be one of those movies to like before and after warfare, and we're going to see a lot of movies going forward that are taking things from this, and we're going to be like, oh, that's a very warfare type shot or sound design or that kind of thing. I think this could be one of those movies where it's like before and after type things, where this does kind of change the direction and adds something new, to an extent of like what we see in military action and war movies, that kind of thing. But I'm definitely recommend. I as we've kind of already touched on, definitely recommend for going to see this in theaters. I really like. There is no replacing what we experience in IMAX. Like there isn't anything that could touch that at home. Like I mean, unless you have full surround in a theater room, that kind of thing. But like the sound design warrants you to be in an IMAX theater or Dolby theater or something along those lines, or just regular theater, or just anything where you can get kind of that full immersion and get the sound from all directions and have the impact of, explosions, gunshots, whatever it is, have that kind of more visceral to you than if it's coming out of, dude. If you watch this on a 55-inch cut with sound coming out of the TV speakers, you're not gonna you're missing the whole movie. Like that's not, you're not gonna like it as much. You're probably gonna think it's overhyped, and you're just gonna be you're gonna miss out on what this movie is supposed to be, which is an experience, and you can only get that experience, in my opinion, in the theaters. And I definitely recommend you go out and see this. This is one of those movies. All movies for me are better than the theaters, obviously, but this is definitely one of those ones that is worth the price of admission and worth getting off your ass and getting an AMC, getting an IMAX, wherever you can see it. Tyler?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I'm definitely going to be a recommend at the end of the day. I don't want to go too crazy just because everybody's kind of said a lot. I think not to argue. Obviously, I don't argue, but to go off of like Nathaniel's point with not knowing who these people are and stuff like that. It really, I kind of had like that same thought process. Once we were in the night scene, like kind of towards the beginning, and I won't go into too crazy close to spoilers, but at the end of the movie during the credits, it really does kind of something that a lot of these war movies, or kind of these movies that are dedicated to memories or people that served or whatever, that all these movies do, and they show you pictures of the actor and then the person that they played. And what you notice is that pretty much every person in this movie, other than like the main character who this was about, which is Elliot, all their faces are redacted. You don't know who these people are. These guys are Navy SEALs. You're not supposed to know who they are in the first place. So I really don't think there's supposed to be a connection there with anybody else other than Elliot. And maybe a couple other characters that, maybe you notice who the actor is, and maybe you kind of already know, have that vibe for them or whatever. But I think that really kind of closed the door for that argument for me once I kind of saw that, and I'm like, you really aren't supposed to know who the fuck these guys are. These guys really go out and nobody really knows who they are. It's kind of like what we were just talking about with like athletes or actors. You'd walk down the street and you wouldn't know that these guys served for your country or lost a really dear friend that they served with or whatever. And so yeah, it's kind of one of those things where that was the only thing that once Nathaniel brought it up, I'm like, I also had that same thought process. And then once I saw everybody's face was redacted, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I guess you really wouldn't know who these guys are in the first place. So that was kind of my only point because you brought that up. So that was like, again, I was on the same thought process too. You obviously want to have the kind of like that bonding point with the characters that you're spending the next hour and a half with, which one of my other plus points was this is an hour and a half movie and it's dope. So the thing moves pretty quick. So that was pretty much it. But yeah, you guys said a lot of things and we can go into spoilers and punch each other.
One real quick before we get into spoilers, I had the opposite reaction for the blurred faces. I was like, why the fuck do these guys not want to have their faces shown in this? Like, is that saying something else about like how this actually went down? Like you don't want to be associated with this realistically? I don't know. I found that an incredibly frustrating experience at the end of the movie.
I agree with you. I would have liked to see their faces. I did look this up because I was like, does that mean like are some of these people like deceased and they're not showing their faces for that? I was just kind of like confused as to why they did. And from everything I saw, it was just both for some people, privacy reasons, maybe wouldn't want their faces on there, but also some people could still be active military or in some kind of active service, and
but
can't have their faces shown.
So have it? Like it was just such an odd
just
choice.
to show, to show they're real people, to show them in like that kind of thing.
It really truly does feel like one of those movies that was made for like a very small group of people, like people that were in or served in the military at some point in their lives, right. And they can obviously assimilate with it a little bit more.
Then I have a problem with the marketing where they were like, everything about it was like, oh, these guys really went through this. It's the most intense thing ever. They're really in warfare. Like, no. Tropic Thunder fucking ran that bag fucking 15 years ago. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
no,
I don't know.
I definitely get it.
Even the blurred faces for me, like for me at least, I thought that, I agree. I would have liked to see their faces, but like still at least like seeing the photos of them side by side of like, oh, like remember these were real people. Everybody here, everybody you see on screen, those were all real people. These were all real events. Like to me, it just helped kind of reinforce that point, whether you see their face or not. So it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of the time when they redact things after the fact, it's because they're either still serving or they were involved in some kind of undercover dealio or something at some point throughout their military career, and it needs to still be protected in some kind of way, shape, or form.
Cool. So 3 recommends, one not recommend.
Yeah, I don't.
You not a recommend.
Nah,
you don't recommend this movie.
Don't recommend this movie. I think like if you like go watch Civil War, go watch fucking Dread. Watch one of Alex Garland's better movies. Like this just has nothing for me.
That's fine. That's cool. I hear you. All right. We're going to go into spoilers. So if you've not seen Warfare, did not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description. Left the timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list.
Yeah, man. It makes sense, right? And actually, I love when we're on like polar opposites on films, right? So
I was very excited.
I'm like, I really don't like this, right? So I love hearing that. And also to being open-minded, right? I can see Nathaniel's point, and I'm sure he's open-minded as well. So yeah, it's not shot in the way that we as film viewers would traditionally go into a movie. And sometimes that can come across like the immediate argument is, oh, well, it's not supposed to be shot like that, and that makes it the scapegoat of why it's not a certain way, if that makes sense, which is inherently unfair in its own. It's like a built-in solution to the problem. And sometimes that's not okay for people. So either it lands with you or it doesn't. And I think for me and probably for the three of us, it seemed like it landed where to Adam's point when we first walked out the film, like, yeah, you're kind of like, it kind of felt like it was missing something. I'm not sure, but the more I sat with it, honestly, it grew with me. And
Yeah.
once I just realized, like, you know what, like maybe I'm just not meant to have any backstory on any of these people, because war is very bleak. It's very in the moment. And I think kind of the ending shot of the film essentially says that, where you realize this is all for, like, what is this all for? In essence, like kind of
Fucking
nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, like they
Right.
end up getting in the tanks.
And
Both
I guess
platoons get away, and you see the Iraqis kind of come out, right? And they congregate in the middle of the street.
And not only
it's like,
that,
wow.
it's not only like what was this all for? Like you don't even have their objective. Like
No, you don't have
from-
any of that.
Right. I had to look up, and apparently it was just kind of some sort of surveillance mission. Like they were just,
Yeah.
I guess, observing that area or that mosque or whatever it is. But like you're not told why they're there and why they're just invading these people's house.
Yeah.
And if you have the context for why America was in Iraq at all in 2006, you realize we're not supposed to be there. Period. Let alone the specific events of this movie. And that's something that I really took away from this was. A lot of conversations around this movie is how it doesn't glorify warfare, and it doesn't it doesn't make it look glossy or heroic or glamorous or
Does it?
patriotic or
It's
anything like
horrible.
that. It's what did you say?
For all parties? I said it's horrible.
Doesn't it?
For all parties involved.
I don't think so. This does not inspire me to pick up an M60 and head out into deployment. Like
No, but I think
I'm not saying
I think if you went and said, "Hey, I want to make this movie about realistic warfare, but I want to make it from the Iraqi side," you never get that movie made.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong. Oh, you're 100%. You're
So,
not wrong.
like,
And
at
that
the
was
end of the day, who are you there to who's your heroes? Still the United States military. That's still your point of view characters. Like,
I agree with you, and I wish more people would have the context or understanding of like feel because to me the immediate thing, even as the movie was happening, was like the line goes, I like this house. I think we're gonna take it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like objectively like, all right, we're invaders not only in Iraq, we're not only invaders in this town. We're just gonna straight up take a home. Like this is just a family. I and go as they enter that house, I'm expecting like, oh, like maybe they're gonna encounter some resistance. Like maybe this is a hotbed for Taliban or what, I don't know. Is Taliban in Iraq? I don't know. But terrorists, you're kind of expecting like, oh, maybe they'll have guns and they'll try to resist the invasion of the house. No, it's just a family. They have kids. It's like they're just trying to live their lives, and now their home is invaded, and by the time they leave, it's completely wrecked. And what was that all for? And to me, that was something that I took away, maybe because of just my stances on war, United States, all that stuff in general. When I watched it with my dad and my friend, they were like, they didn't get any of that necessarily. And they were like, well, I was like talking to them and try to explain, like, I think it's cool how like they're like not kind of trying to justify why they're there necessarily. It's kind of like almost effed up like what they're doing, and they kind of show that a little bit more than the average movie. Yes, to your point, Nathaniel, we could get a movie from the other person's perspective, the other side's perspective of like, that kind of thing. Sure. But they don't at least try to justify the events of this movie in any way. And to my dad and my friend, they were like, but no, they like attacked the American soldiers. I was like, yeah, because they're invaders. They're not supposed to be in Iraq. They're not supposed to be in this town. They're not supposed to be in that house. That's the reason why they attacked them. Like, they're in the wrong. The movie doesn't necessarily explain the other side as well as it maybe could or should. I don't think this being a personal story to the veteran and all that stuff. I don't think, that's not obviously the goal of this movie. But I don't think it does anything to particularly say this was justified. The events of this kind of happened for a good reason. No, like it doesn't do anything of that. Elliot lost a limb. People, got injured.
Yeah,
You
people
know,
died.
Iraqis died in this movie. I don't think any of the American
one guy
troops
died.
necessarily.
He's the Iraqi guy.
Well, you
and
see,
like,
okay, you see one guy die. I think that's part of it. There could be more. We really, I don't know.
of the crew we
specific
follow,
behind
it's
that.
one guy, and he's the one guy that again also has zero character development, just shows up and then gets blown the fuck up, basically.
Oh, you're talking about the scout guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
There's
sure.
no Americans.
Yeah.
Like, are you talking about
Correct.
like the
I was talking
enemies?
about,
They see him
I
shoot
forgot
one
about, yes,
person.
of the enemy. Yes, so I guess you see 2 people die. So there's that. But like none of that is seemingly justified in this movie, and almost the fact that they don't bring a justification to it kind of makes you feel like there wasn't one. Like Elliot lost his leg for what? You know, that guy died for what? Like these people,
Right.
you know, you don't know anything about them, so you presume innocence at that point. Kind of thing to me. That's how I interpreted it. Again, Nathaniel, to your point, you're right. I 100% wish there was the movies that could tell the other side a little bit better and show, you know, all that stuff. But to me, at least, it's not Black Hawk Down, where it is like, oh, America, hoorah, like all that kind of stuff. It's not that, and doesn't kind of push that agenda as much as other movies do.
I found myself being like, oh, I miss Black Hawk Down. Like so often in this movie. Like,
Man.
I was just like, oh, no score? Like we're just not even
Yeah.
we're not even
I was
coming
like,
close.
that's a good point. We didn't even touch on that.
Like
Yeah.
that
there's
got
no
me
score at
somewhere
all.
through, and like then I was like,
I
oh,
don't mind
like
it.
I just know Eric Bana, who's Hoot. I know Ewan McGregor, he's the guy that can type, but he's not even supposed to be there. Whereas like these dudes, I don't give a fuck about any of them. Like they just showed up. Like I recognize some of them, but half of them look the same. Like as we were talking about beforehand, like that sequence of the column start into that night raid into the stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I'm on the Iraqi side. Like, you show up in my fucking house with a gun in my face and a flashlight as an opposing force, and you just take over my shit. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised my family and friends. I would want my neighbors to come out and beat your ass. Like, I'm sorry.
No, you're not wrong.
Like,
Yeah.
and you know, and if that at the end of the day they blew up one of your dudes and got you to fucking leave, I'd be pretty happy about that too. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just said, like, I bounced off it hard. Like, I think there is this whole narrative that they have where they're trying to, you know, provoke this reaction of why. And I feel like it is a movie that's there to provoke. I think it just doesn't land for me. I think a movie like Black Hawk Down is so much more successful in those things because it is still using filmic language. I think this is a great experience simulator, but it's not a fucking movie.
Sure.
I think you know, I think a lot of things kind of come into play. You know, like if we're comparing to like Black Hawk Down, right? Like one, our opinions on movies has changed quite a bit from when Black Hawk Down first came out. Like we objectively viewed that movie very differently from, you know, our views politically and you know how we view them currently now.
You know, I think when I was 16, I saw Black Hawk Down. I was like, damn, like America's still pretty great. Like that would be something I would want to go for. This movie does make me feel like, you know, it throws into that thing of like the plan is the plan until it's not the plan. And then like, you know, like, and it's always going to fuck up. And I think it does a great job of like putting you in those moments of like, I just don't want to be here right now. I would much rather be home, and we need to survive through that. And like, again, the rational part of me can say like, Alex Garland nails that shit. I am feeling intense in those moments. I am feeling for those characters. I am locked in. But beyond that, like I
actually think it kind of goes, you know, kind of more towards what you're saying. I think it, you know, adds a little bit more to, you know, like in 2006, it was kind of, you know, rah, 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 all America. And, you know, like that's the picture that we received as well on this side. Whereas when you view this movie now, it's kind of more or less like, yeah, this was kind of pointless. Like a lot of these guys probably also didn't want to be there. Like if you take in like Tommy's character, for example, like the guy looks like he doesn't even know what's going on half the time. He looks like he doesn't even want to be there. So it really does kind of show you, you know, like how pointless, or and again, this kind of goes with like what we've kind of talked about in our lives, but like shit rolls downhill. It's
Yeah.
like all of these guys were just there because they were told they had to be there.
And I 100% agree with you on that. Like I'm there with you. I think for me it's just the overall arching bit like that just doesn't make that connection to that same level for me personally. I understand. I'm with you with what you're saying on a lot of that too.
Yeah, I guess that's just kind of I think that I think it's kind of in line with kind of what a lot of people are feeling nowadays. They're like, this is not a movie that makes you want to join the military. Whereas, like, looking at Black Hawk Down, you're like, shit, dude, like, I don't want to do the military stuff either. But like those guys, at least you get the perception, that, like something, they're protecting something, or like they're fighting for something. Whereas obviously, like I said, our mindsets have changed, our views have changed from whenever we were kids, and I think if you take into people that are even younger than Fine Adam here nowadays that are seeing this movie, I think that I don't think it has the same effect on them as like when we saw like Black Hawk Down or something like that. I think they're also going to be like, wow, I don't want to be in the military. And I also think that this movie kind of placates to like the goldfish brain that a lot of people have. Like we're in and we're out, super quick, not only in like our hour and a half time, but in their time as well. They're there for less than 12 hours, it seems like. So yeah, it's just, it moves pretty quick. And I think that they kind of dumbed it down quite a bit with like not having the score and all the extra kind of like film stuff that we always enjoy seeing. And this is really kind of bare bones. And I think they just kind of wanted to kind of get you in and out and just show you like the nitty gritty. And so
Yeah, I mean, those were all excellent points as well, right? And as far as where we're at on kind of opposite sides of the spectrum of this, I guess one thing we probably can't agree on is, so like, I guess Nathaniel, talk to me in terms of how do you feel about the actual like technicality of the film, like the sound design,
Oh, sure.
them portraying different soldiers being disoriented, right? And shit that you just don't traditionally get in other films. Like a fucking grenade goes off right next to somebody, and if they don't die, they kind of get up, shake their head a little bit, and kind of keep going. Where this, you can see the stun effects from grenades. You can see the stun effects, pardon me, from the IED that goes off. It's very brutal. What's your kind of stance on some of that?
Yeah, I mean, like I will. There's no part of me that doubts that this movie isn't visceral, or that it can't
Sure.
put you in that moment and make you feel for those characters, right? Like the human part of me it was responding throughout this movie a ton, and I'm with those moments, and I'm putting myself in those moments, and thinking like, how the fuck are you just even moving forward, right? But like I think on those levels, it's a very effective movie. And I think that is again why so many people are having these positive reactions to it. You look at the reviews, and everyone's 4 out of 5s, 8 out of 10s, all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely in the outlier here, folks. Like I'm the one that's like being uptight about it. And again, maybe that's how I approach movies. Maybe that's more my side of things overall. I won't deny that as well too, 100%. But it's not what I go for in a movie. And it's like I feel like I'm experienced enough where there's other movies that I've come across that use the elements of this that feel filmic, that feel suspenseful, that feel intense, and also have those other bits built in there so that at the end of the day I feel more satisfied and I move on and that kind of thing. I it's not the warfare simulator Microsoft, the the way that what is it, Farm Simulator is or whatever. They release a new one of those every year, or Aircraft Simulator. Yeah,
Flight Simulator.
this one just felt very much like day in the life of guy in there, and it's like, okay, yeah, well, if I wanted to experience that, I would have joined the military.
Sure.
I don't know. That's
But yeah,
I mean,
I hear you. It makes sense.
You
Go ahead,
wanted
Adam.
you wanted a traditional, beginning exposition character background type thing, and like you're not wrong for saying there's not much of that in this
I don't
movie.
even like. I
You
don't
know,
even
you're
know
not
if I
like I'm not
if
denying
I
that,
wanted
but
that, but like little bits, like it was something to
Yeah.
get me in there. Like I think what would be a good example of something? Again, I go back to that Green Room, which is like a siege movie, but like
sure.
I feel that same level of intensity, but I care about the characters. Or I think the fact that Act of Valor is this other guy's movie like does not surprise me. You may be a little bit young, but I remember in 2011 being in college and that movie coming out and it being advertised as like, you've never seen a movie like this. We're using actual Navy SEALs. And I was like, that's the most 3.5 out of 5 movie I've ever seen in my fucking life. I didn't go see it. My roommate did. He came back and was like, yep, that was a 3 out of 5 movie. And like, and then to have it be Lone Survivor, and then what was the other movie that he had, I think, featured on as well? Civil War. Like,
He's done a couple others, but
yeah, like that military language, sure, it's effective, it's clean. I'm glad that we like know what that's more realistic. It's fucking boring. It's boring as a storytelling device to just be sitting there on your radio mumbling into it for half the time.
Yeah.
see, I kind of like that part.
Yeah, and I think
it
but I think that goes back to my point where it's hard because all of the and it's unfair because it's a film to say that it can't be criticized. But for everything that you can criticize for, the immediate response you would imagine from the crew is like, well, yeah, but like that's the intent, right? Like that's how it's supposed to be.
Make a
Maybe that
documentary.
is the accurate portrayal. Yeah, to your point, yeah, right. And so, well, then maybe it doesn't have to be
yeah, again, like
a big budget film, right? Maybe you make into a smaller doc. But yeah, it's interesting.
like-
The good news is that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. I come back to like it's just the most uninteresting part of it, of like telling me the events of what actually happened. I'm interested in what happened after. If you're saying that Elliot can't remember it, and you as Ray Mendoza are saying, I want to make this for you so that you have a memory of this, that's a fascinating story. Tell me about that, of 2 human people who have gone through this, not just recreate it. Like, I don't know. Sorry.
I see your
Continue.
point there, and I agree with you. Like that'd be cool if they're. I mean, maybe they did make a documentary along with this that they'll come out with. Remember when movies did special features? That would be great.
Right.
Like here's the disc.
Yeah, on the physical media.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I agree with you. That is a fantastic story, and movies. This is definitely a movie where, like, if you separate all of the context, like if you go into this 100% blind, like, yeah, that's you don't get the connection, you don't get,
Which is more or
maybe
less
doesn't
what I
have that
did.
same
It
impact.
should be noted that like I saw
Sure.
a trailer for this and then just went in and saw it. Like I didn't even.
Yeah,
I didn't.
and
even,
I didn't know too much about it either,
Yeah.
and that's why I think that's part of why I enjoyed it more on my second time too, is because I had gotten that context a little bit more.
Sure.
And so yeah, I mean, this movie maybe cheats a little bit in that front where it's like you do kind of need that context to watch this, and you don't, if you have that coming in, then you don't need the exposition of like, hey, I'm Elliot. Oh, I'm Ray. I think we're gonna be best friends. Like we don't, we don't
Yeah.
necessarily need that if you have the context going into it. So, because there also is definitely moments, like
But,
I said, I went in relatively blind, and there definitely were some like Elliot gives Ray a look, and Ray doesn't see, like there's like moments between the two where like I can't. My first viewing, especially, primarily my first viewing, I was like, what is I'm missing context
So-
here. They don't give it to me necessarily. So there were some moments for sure where I was, missing that.
Adam, as the guy who's seen it twice, can you tell me who the 2 guys that are doing the hip thrusts at the start of the movie are?
No, I can't.
And that's my point.
But
right, like you have this great opening scene where these guys are all sitting around watching this music video. It's so well shot. Everyone is there. Feel connected to these characters. I then see the next scene where they're approaching the house. There's this great moment where two guys are staring across from each other, doing the hip thrusts, creating this bond. I have no idea who those fucking characters are, and I still don't.
Well, all right. I think important context for me not being able to identify them. I answered that question without clarifying that my friend Danny, when we went to saw this movie, he went to AMC Streets
to get sushi.
The movie was at AMC Barrington, so he was late, and we kind of walked in during the home invasion scene. So unfortunately, I missed the opening and night sequence, which I was very much looking forward to rewatching. But I missed that on the second viewing, and I didn't need to. Obviously, I'd already seen it once, but I wanted to see it again. Sure. He missed that, and I had to fill him in. And I'm like, you really need to go find a different theater where this is playing, so you can watch the first 10 minutes of the movie because it is pretty good. Yeah, if the one thing that I could say is like if I rewatched it again, and I'd be looking for the type of weapons that they have because I almost want to assume that it might be Ray and Elliot. I don't know for sure, but like Ray or Elliot has the sniper with the scope on it. He's, I don't think that changes the whole time. So that'd be my main way of identifying them. But you're not wrong. Like I don't know who they are in the moment. That first watch, like I was like, who, like, am I supposed to know? Like, is there a relationship there?
My other thing is like Joe Quinn doesn't really do anything in this movie other than scream. Like Cosmo Jarvis is knocked out for half of it. Like Will Poulter is fucked up for a quarter of it as well too, and Charlie Melton, you have him at the beginning, and then you see him for the last 40 minutes or so where he's very capable. But like these actors that we've got that we're elevating to it, the characters don't stick out in my mind all that much. I don't know. I'm beating the shit out of this thing. Like, I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
I think
now.
that I'm honestly gonna push back on that. Like, I don't think that I thought the acting was great. I don't, just because you don't know their names or have backstory for them doesn't mean the performances weren't good. Personally, I enjoyed it. Through for Joseph Quinn and Cosmo Jarvis. Like, I thought they both did a great job.
Yeah, I think it goes on to portray well that even though all these people are tested to the max and qualified to the max, and should be capable to get through any of these military scenarios, right? Is that once shit hits the fan, man, like that shit is it's different.
Yeah.
It's different, right? It's like you hate to draw the comparative to playing sports, but like sometimes it's different. Sometimes the moment's too big. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little different when you're going through training and then you actually have a fucking IED go off when you're trying to get into a tank.
Yeah.
Then it's like, holy shit, this is real.
As Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of these characters, it happens to them. And even Will Poulter being the I don't know the right verbiage. I don't know if
he's the leader. He's the leader.
He's a cap. I'm pretty sure he's a captain. I think they say captain at one point.
And at one point, he even has to kind of check in when the other platoon is able to come in. He's like, dude, like you're gonna have to take point. I'm fucked, right? So it does an accurate portrayal that these people aren't just like fucking superheroes, man.
No, 100%.
So like,
yeah, they do feel
something
like
goes on,
real. Yeah, I will 100% agree with on that. I feel like they are very human in this whole movie, and I think that is one thing that it does nail is that like these human moments, these moments of uncertainty, these moments of waiting for something either good or bad to happen, like those are very intense, very realistic, very engrossing as a viewer. I just wish they were more connected on the other side. I wish there was something else for me to hold on to beyond just the intensity of those moments.
Yeah.
That's all fair criticisms, man. Those moments where they're waiting for like the Bradleys and the tanks, whatever, and they're counting down they're like 2 mics out or whatever it is. You know, it's like damn, dude, those moments where it's like I think there's the first one where for the medevac before the ID goes off, it's like all right, 4 minutes, and it's like everyone's kind of looking at each other like fuck, like what, like we're like no, like you're getting counted down to like when something's gonna happen, like just I can't imagine. And sitting in this theater to you kind of have a similar like experience of like I can't imagine like what's about to happen, like have 3 minutes before I could, get shot. I could,
I'm leaving safety.
right, exactly. I have 3 minutes before everything. Like those 3 minutes, I can't even imagine how long those feel in real time. Like living that, like that. That's the kind of like emotional reaction that this movie got out of me. Where I don't necessarily need the connection. I see that these people are human, and I can kind of connect and be with them in that moment, and feel the same dread they're feeling, whether I know their name and backstory and connections, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Just the ability for this movie to put me in that position and like have that kind of experience of like before we have to get out of this building,
Yeah.
or like whatever, like that's crazy. And like to me, I don't know of another movie that's like really had me have that kind of connection to kind of this kind of experience like that.
Yeah, and something also goes to be said of it's fascinating to watch a film have this accurate of a portrayal of how war and clearing a room and how you fire a
Mhm.
gun and where you're just like muzzle placement in terms of like where your gun's placed and like
Sure.
you're just so used to watching so many movies and like watching people just do objectively very stupid things, but it's a movie, so you suspend your disbelief, so it doesn't matter, right? So it
Or,
is kind of fascinating to see some of that in this, where people are, like you go in a room, like you don't go in a room by yourself. You go in your room, somebody's right next to you. You guys clear both corners, right?
Mhm.
You rotate. If people are picking up guns, you have somebody
I was gonna
walking your
say
back.
how often you're grabbing gear that people have
Yeah.
left behind. I thought
Yeah.
was really interesting for sure.
Yeah.
It was also the
Um,
moments where after the grenade goes off, and I think Tommy's the one who has the machine gun,
Yeah.
and he sees the shadow. He just starts firing and just doesn't stop until he's out of that room. And I like, it's a very human thing to do. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know what I'm shooting at or where. And then I think it's Ray who like either sees or hears someone on the balcony, or at least
Yeah,
knows they're out there, whatever.
it's Ray.
Just starts shooting. Yeah, it just starts
Mhm.
shooting through the door just blindly. And it's like
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm shooting at. I just know I got to shoot in that direction to potentially,
Yeah.
for my own safety. Like, I don't know, but I don't know what else I'm going to do other than shoot through that door. It's like,
Yeah.
those are just very human reactions. And again, like you said, like you don't see that in other Hollywood movies where it's just like, I'm just going to do whatever I can instinctually think will protect
Mhm.
me or help me in the situation. And that is shoot blindly through a window or shoot blindly through a door. And hopefully that's doing more than nothing, but I don't know what else to do in this situation. Like shit's going down. Like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
It's like, those are just very human reactions.
Absolutely. And in regards to kind of that one scene as well, where you got Elliot in the sniper position and they throw the grenade in and
Mhm.
Sam shooting the light machine gun, I think that's when the sound design really kicks in.
I was
Because
just about to say.
the power and noise from
Oh,
that
yeah.
light machine gun that Sam's shooting is fucking ridiculous.
Well, it
That in
also
the first, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. You finish your thought. You finish your thought.
I was gonna say that in the first display of force they order in
Yeah,
is beautiful.
yeah, it was
Right?
awesome.
The sound design on that is it's fucking absurd, dude.
Yeah, it also
Unmatched.
unexpected. I was not expecting a jet to come in. He's like, "Hey, I can't get any air support, but like they can fly a jet over, show of force." He's like,
Yeah.
"Do it as soon as possible. Anything
Yeah.
you can have." And you're like, "Show of force? Like what's
You're like,
about
what does that
And then-
really mean?
Yeah, yeah. And you're like, "Oh my god!" And then it just flies right over, and it's just, and then even like if you second time watching this, you kind of notice this more. But like every time that the plane flies over, the guys who are like concussed by their grenade, like they
Yeah.
all have like such visceral reactions to it. They get reconcussed almost.
It's so loud.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I was gonna say was with that machine gun in that balcony scene where where the first time he's just shooting through that window blindly. The sound design there is
So
probably the best in the movie for me. Where
For sure.
they kind of are a little bit further away to begin with, and it is obviously very loud and everything. But they like move it closer, and the more you do, like you can hear the sizzling and the heat of it, and it's
Yeah.
a little bit more bassier, and it's just like it's a little bit heavier. It's like there's something about it where you feel the proximity to that gun as the camera gets closer. The sound design it kind of changed a little bit just of how they were doing it. We're not even talking about after the IED goes off and it's kind of the almost like slow motion playing out in real time kind of scenes. And there's great sound design there too, where I think Tommy is concussed. There's some
they're
machine gun.
disoriented, concussed.
Yeah, and he can't hear anything, and so you're getting his perspective of the machine gun. It's a very hollow, like pinging noise, almost coming from the same machine gun that we heard. Only so many minutes prior. It is very loud. Super in your face, very aggressive, and as we were saying, like the heat of it, everything. But this time, it's almost hollow, like you can't hear anything. Like just the change of that was just so well done. All the gunshots and everything, especially in those like slow-mo moments. And then after that IED comes off and or goes off, and you're kind of like living in these again. To me, I interpreted those scenes as like slow motion, but they're acting them out in real time. Like those scenes are not happening necessarily in real time, but they are playing them as they are. But I think it's like one of those things, those kind of things that play out such longer in your head than they actually are. I think that's kind of how they're portraying that. But the cut to, I think it's Joseph Quinn's character. He's the first one to be pulled inside, but then they cut to the people inside who didn't see what happened outside necessarily, just heard the explosion, and then they cut to him, and it's just the screaming. It's just so visceral, the like kind of change, because it's drawn back as a little bit kind of further away, the screaming, and then they cut to it, and it's just so right in your face as soon as they get inside. Such a really like good filmmaking tool to kind of just make you also snap back to reality and realize like what is now you're kind of coming to grips with what just happened.
Yeah, speaking of like visceral reactions, I like when after the IED goes off, when the other platoon shows up and he's like, there's something burning in his leg, and he's like, yeah, that's phosphorus. So like I was like, oh shit, yeah, like there's obviously other things going on there besides just the explosion. And then one of the other things was when you're kind of getting your sound back because they're getting their sound back, and then you realize all the radio chatter that's going on because everything that's going on, and then Ray just pulls his plug. He's like, I can't fucking
I'm overstimulated.
So overwhelming. Yeah. Very well done on that front. I really love the I have a feeling Nathaniel's going to hate this part, but the aerials of the aircraft like the UAV surveillance stuff of like watching Frogman 2 walking down the street. They've got enemies down the street, pulling blocks, setting up an ambush. Yeah, the thermal stuff like that. I'm like, I loved that so much. And they do this one shot, or they're tracking the separate group of soldiers, and then they're like turning the corner, and then they just cut, and you're like, oh, and they give you perfect context for like, oh, they're heading down the street, but I know there's about to be people to the right. Like, how are they going to cross this? It's like the way they transition that from the aerial into the actual like combat of the troops moving across the street and everything. I really loved every time they went to the aerial shots of it. It reminded me a lot of like the Call of Duty campaigns too.
AC-130s.
Those. Yep. There's one in COD 4 where it is like the entire mission is like, it's like an hour of just that kind of stuff. But that's kind of, I don't feel like I see that too much in movies in terms of like an actual kind of storytelling technique. They kind of do it for effect sometimes. It felt like more than effect this time around. It is
interesting that you bring that up, because that was literally one of the first things that I said when I like stood up and walked out, and I was like, this literally felt like a mission in a campaign.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. And I think part of it is that aerial aspect of it where you get the third person perspective,
for sure,
and it's not just the whole movie is on the ground and everything. And I Nathaniel didn't like the whole comms and communication stuff like that. I didn't mind that part. That part didn't bother me. In fact, that was kind of one of the cooler things and made it feel definitely a little bit more real in terms of, it is probably just a lot of chatter communication on the radio. What kind of air support can you get? What kind of support period can we get? That kind of
the other thing that kind of like makes me think like some things like really suck is like how powerful maybe not even, I'm sure this happens to everybody, but just like how powerful a lot of militaries are, but then we somehow still get ourselves in scenarios where we can't fucking help the people that need it. And it's like, how are we putting ourselves in these situations on a constant, regular basis? And we have all this technology. We're so powerful, and we still can't find a way to get our people out of those situations. And you see it time and time again in war movies constantly. So that was also one of the things where it's like, how do we do this?
Yeah, and to hone in on it further, to Tyler's point, a good example of that is at one point where Ray is trying to call in additional air support right? And basically, they're just the kind of commands shooting back, and they're like, "Hey, like negative, we can't do that. Like, you're gonna have to wait for platoon 2 to get there in like 12 minutes." Or like something, and it's like the worst situation going on in real time, and just for the answer to be like, "No, man, we can't do anything for you. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to hang tight." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Dude, we got people bleeding out. We're under heavy gunfire, and it's very bleak. It's just the easiest word to say it. It's very bleak, and it's very unforgiving."
And they weren't even going to get the evacuation support that they needed. They were going to have to get CO approval, and God knows how long that's going to take. They don't have the time. They've got people. I guess at that point they'd already evacuated the wounded. Technically, I think this was just for the evac one, maybe, but or maybe it was for both. I can't remember exactly.
It was for the evac, which takes it to this. We can talk about this movie forever, but that takes it to the next level of war, which is capitalism. In terms of like, well, no, we can't sacrifice a tank to save 6 people there, right?
Right.
Tanks cost a lot of money. We can't afford to do that. The last time we got it over there, it got shot at. Which is
I was gonna say, I guess I do get the other fact of like, once people are in trouble, you don't want to get other people in trouble as far as like danger.
That's the other.
So I definitely understand that, but it just sucks that we constantly get ourselves in those scenarios.
Yeah, that's the other half of that equation. Is obviously there's financial factors influence into it, of course, because
for sure.
But there are this when I was in San Diego last year, we visited one of the aircraft carriers that was out there, and there was like a veteran on the ship. And it was
That's
whole
actually
ship
a
was
great tour as well, by the way. I've done that before.
Yeah, it was great. And everyone working on the ship, I think it was the USS Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope, Arizona
but they were
is
veterans
in the water under Pearl Harbor.
You're right.
I was gonna say, that ship has sailed.
You're right.
Sorry, that's one. Arizona folks know where the fuck that one is.
You're 100% correct. And I forgot what the name of it was. Then it might
is it the
might
one
have been
in
like
San
the
Diego?
Constitution. Yeah, there's one.
It's like
it might have been like the Constitution.
No, Indianapolis is the one that delivered the bomb. No, Indianapolis is the one that delivered the bomb in Jaws. I think you're right. I think it is the Constitution or something like that.
It might be. Yeah, it's
like an aircraft carrier.
Regardless,
right?
I believe that's a rough translation.
The Bill of
It's
Rights.
an aircraft
Vagina.
Jesus Christ. Regardless, doesn't matter what it's called.
The Anti-Federalist Papers, if I'm not mistaken. To bring it all back together.
We're gonna have to wrap it up here, fellas, and put it on a ranking.
But the whole ship was staffed by veterans, and this one guy, we was in like the control room of the ship, and he was all on his own because the other, there was people kind of grouped up or whatever. He was all on his own. He was like falling asleep, and I was like, this guy, he's probably been sitting here for a while. So I asked him a question. I was like, hey, why? It was really dark in the room. And I was like, why does it have to be so dark in the control room? He's like, well, this ship was built, I think it was in like the 40s or the 50s. He's like, they didn't have good LED computer screens or anything like that. So, you had to keep it dark because if you had overhead lights on, like you wouldn't be able to see kind of the lights and everything on the display. So like you had to keep it dark because otherwise you wouldn't even be able to read anything. I was like, that makes sense.
Thank God our cockpit doesn't have any windows for the ship.
But anyway, I ended up talking to him for like 45 minutes and asked him like when he served, what he did, and basically he one of his roles at a certain point, he's like, I was way too young for this role, but eventually got promoted to it. But his job was basically to determine whether or not they were going to go send out support to areas that needed it, or and had to do kind of the calculations of like, oh, we have people in trouble here, but is the people in trouble there worth sending 3 more people to a troublesome area to try and recover, say 6 people? He's like that. He had that position of like trying to allocate those resources. And sometimes it was like, tough decisions. He could go to higher chain of command, but a lot of the times it was like a lower chain of command than you would expect. But yeah, that was something I learned while touring that. So just some context for you all and for the listeners. There's a lot of decisions to go through there, but to the movie's point, hilarious that the guy's just like, yeah, this is the CO. We're all good over here. Just go ahead, send those Bradleys over. Yeah,
I did like that bit.
I did it. Yeah, I did too. I was like, honestly, I survival instinct, man. Just do whatever it takes to get us out of here. I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, that's a risky move too, because if something were to happen,
But-
somebody's
Obviously,
head's on the chopping block.
That's
But obviously, you have
that's
to weigh the risk.
1,000% what you want
yeah.
from your commanding officer, right? If you're the guy in the trenches with that, you want the dude that's like, no, fuck you. Like, don't ask forgiveness,
sure.
not permission, bitch. Like, get our boys out of here.
100%.
Like,
All right, fellas. To Blake's point,
yeah.
let's get her up. Let's get her up and let's get on out of here. But I think I think it's a testament to this movie that we were able to talk about it for so long, Nathaniel. I'm just saying.
Listen, man, I
Well,
want.
there's a lot.
helps when we got
for
people
a
on
movie
our-
that lacks substance. There's a lot to talk about.
There's no part of me.
Adam's going number one.
There's no part of me that doesn't deny that there's a lot to talk about on this movie. I mean, there's a lot to talk about the latest baseball game too, though. Like,
Yeah, your pitcher Brandon Fatt didn't do anything for me tonight.
well,
They took him out with
that's why
on my fantasy
don't
team.
play fantasy baseball, bro.
Show you to gamble, you fucking idiot.
I'm not-
Well, on another
I'm not
quick
gambling. There's skill involved.
on another quick sports update. I don't know if anyone here will care for this besides
Oh,
Adam, but the
yeah.
Bulls lost. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
did
you
see
know
that.
Yeah,
I did see that.
They're playing the
Saw that.
Heat.
I had a chance.
They're playing the Heat.
I had a chance to
tonight.
go to that game
Yep.
tonight, and I turned it down. I was like, I'm way too tired to go.
Is Eric
to this game,
Spoelstra
and
still the
it's-
coach for the Heat?
He is.
He is. He absolutely
There's
is.
a
Heat
name
culture,
I
baby.
know from 2007 that's still fucking relevant. Way to go for that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, one of the better coaches in the NBA. But yeah,
That's-
the Bulls lost today. They're out. So
That's like
They're out of the playoffs.
18, 20 years for that guy. Like he's been
it's been there
around.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably live and die there. That man.
Probably him and
Is-
Pat
I mean,
Riley.
we talked
Yeah.
about earlier, like honestly, having a one team career, that might be kind of the dream as well too.
Yeah.
Like,
If you're
yeah,
a sports guy,
yeah.
I agree.
it, like,
Sports person.
like even if you're in like fucking Buffalo, but like Buffalo loves you, like that's kind
Yeah.
of the dream, right? Like,
That's kind of awesome. Become a legend in that town.
yeah, just find like a kind of a shitty town and just be like the number one guy there. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I was the number one guy in Jacksonville, that's probably a cool
Yeah,
spot.
yeah,
Like, you're a
Right,
king.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
true.
screw New York.
That's why college sports, man. They'll get
You know
dude.
what? There's been a lot
That's
of guys
some
from
of
the
the charm.
Grizz that have gone on to have really good real estate careers after having two great
I would imagine.
two great collegiate years at the University of Montana.
That's awesome. All right, let's get her up and ranked. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and throw up Warfare up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed,
Oh, man.
regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. It is essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up this movie on a list and see how they compare to one another. Or all the movies on the list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it's linked to my Letterboxd. Okay.
This is tough for me, fellas. I'm trying not to be prisoner of the moment on new films.
Yeah,
right?
same.
I try to pride my. Well, I don't know about you, Adam. Saying same. You're the reason we got Dune 2 at 1 and Spider-Man No Way Home
stand-
at
I
16,
stand by
or whatever
stand by
it
both
was
of
until we
those.
moved it.
stand by both those.
Yeah, I'm just
Also,
giving you shit.
it took 3 of us to get Dune Part 2 up there.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah.
And I was a willing
You
participant.
better look in the mirror.
Certainly
Yeah.
did take 3 of you
I was
guys.
really
Took all
That's very
3 of you boys.
That's very true. Very true. I don't know, dude. It's tough.
I have a pretty good idea where I'm going.
Okay, I'll let you go first. Go ahead, shoot it.
I am gonna be. Fuck. Now
I think
now I talked myself into potentially being somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I know where I'm going.
Do it up.
Let her rip.
30.
30 below 9 days and above the girl with the
Girl with
dragon, tattoo. All right. I love it.
And ultimately below Ex Machina. I think that's my favorite Alex Garland film. So that was my cap. Found Civil War, kind of worked around from there. But I can't go above Ex Machina. You guys know I love 9 days. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is awesome. Pretty long though. It's just like fucking 2.5 hours long. The Green Room is really what I was comparing it to. Kind of similar pacing, 90-minute flick. Antoine Yelchin, rest in peace, Imogen Poots. But ultimately, I think the realism in this is what does it for me.
Hurts my soul.
Yeah, I knew that one killed Nathaniel. Yeah, I know that one killed Nathaniel. And actually, Green Room is one of the first films Nathaniel shared with me when we met in like 2018. So yeah, it's. Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna pick A24 joints, at least I guess I understand that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, Green Room's head and shoulders above this guy.
Green Room is awesome, though. I agree.
Much better soundtrack. I'll tell you that much.
The soundtrack. I'm so over this soundtrack bullshit.
Green Room has actual music, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, this did have one music scene.
And to be fair, I've listened to that song a lot. That being said,
I could put this in a number of places, and I'm similar to Blake, where maybe not every time I try not to be prisoner of the moment. On this time, I'm trying to like be a little bit more level-headed on it because I think I am just coming off of a high, and I don't know where I'm gonna feel about this in say 6 months to a year. That being said, I'm gonna have to break like the Civil War. I would love to say like I can't put this higher than that because Civil War is gonna remain my favorite Alex Garland movie.
You like
I think,
Civil War a lot.
I do like that movie.
That's kind of going unmentioned here. Like I think you've seen that 2 or 3 times.
I've only seen it once, but I do own it on DVD.
Kirsten Dunst, Kaylee Spaney. It's not bad,
I really like that
obviously
movie.
Our boy,
Jesse Plemons.
Yep.
Clemence.
But that movie is just too far down on the list for me to be like,
for sure,
I'd put it here. So I'm just gonna get that disclaimer out of here that I would put below, but like that's just too far down for me to be like, I can't. So with that being said, I think I'll put this above E2 Mama Tambien, below Godzilla Mama -1 at 49.
That's not bad. Respectable.
I feel like that's the best balance I can get between not riding the highs too much, but not letting this sink to where Civil War is, because I don't know how you guys have that movie at 69. But that's
I agree. I think I actually like that film higher than what it should be rated on here.
Either way, 49 for me. I feel like feels like a good in between spot that feels pretty fair and justified and could age pretty well. But I'm sure Nathaniel's gonna drag this in.
I was gonna say Nathaniel's gonna fucking tank it either way. So if you wanted to shoot for the stars, man, you could go like.
I don't like playing that game. I don't like playing that game. I'm an honest man. All right. I
agree.
All right. I'm not trying to skew things.
Well, we'll save Nathaniel for last because we know he's probably gonna be the lowest.
Yeah.
I am actually a little bit lower than both of you, even though I actually, am on par with how much I do like this movie. We obviously kept referring back to Black Hawk Down. I think that's just probably one of the most memorable war movies that I'm ever gonna have in my entire life, just because of where it also came in my life. And then you have pretty much a ton of bangers up above that I also have like nostalgia purposes with like Spirited Away, Kill Bill. I mean, you got Training Day, Starship Troopers up there, Godzilla -1. So there's like a lot of stuff going on up there on that top of the list. So just in that row right there, you have Black Hawk Down, Nosferatu, The Conjuring, and then Princess Mononoke. And then, not that Long Legs isn't good. I just don't know what the rewatchability is there for me. Same thing with this. I will probably go back to this at some point a couple of times, but I think there are other war movies that I would probably turn on. Like Black Hawk Down. I didn't really care for Civil War that much as you guys did. Still a good movie, but just not like one I'm like, dude, you gotta go watch. I would say go watch this before you watch Civil War. But I'm gonna go right under where we were at last week for Princess Mononoke. I'm gonna be at 65 above Long Legs.
Okay.
Okay.
Valid.
All right,
Nathaniel?
and yeah, all right.
Floor is yours, man.
So I see where you're all coming from.
Daniel's 230.
Nah, there's
below Borderlands.
So
yeah, right.
So no, absolutely not. It's not.
I'd be shocked. if
It's
was
not
below like a 180. Something.
not gonna be there. Not
Okay.
even close. But I don't like this movie, guys. Like, I like
Yeah, that's
Okay.
there's so many times that like I've tried to like again it's a movie that we've talked about. There's so many times that I've tried to like look at it and be like, what are the positives out of this movie and like what it goes for in terms of removing all of this stuff and like forcing us to ask those questions and that kind of thing. And just from the movie loving part of me, like I just don't feel like this is a great example of a film. I just don't. So for me, immediately I look at Men at 175. And
Bro,
while
you're
I would
shitting me.
I'm not even kidding, dude. Like, while I wouldn't necessarily go like, I wouldn't say like, all right, Alex Garland. Like, I would rather watch this or Men, like throwing it back and forth. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather watch Blind Spotting 9 times out of 10 over this one. So, 174 below Blind Spotting, above Ferrari. Like, I don't know, anything above that. I think I would watch before this. I don't like this movie.
I hear it, man. And I love the I love the standing your ground.
Like
No pun intended.
I've thought about it so
I mean,
much.
no, you're entitled for your ranking.
Like,
I'm
I
out.
just I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
174.
All right. Whatever. Tyler, where were you again?
It was 65 or something like that. 66.
Yeah, hold on.
It was just above Long Legs.
Yeah.
Oh,
above
65
Long Legs.
then. Okay.
Yeah, 65.
All right. Average rating of 79.5, meaning we put it below Barbie and above Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad from 2021, not the other one. I mean,
So that
there are worse.
slightly below Civil War.
Barbie's solid. It's not bad.
There are worse places for this movie to be.
Yeah. Below
But-
Boys in the Hood, below
yeah.
American Psycho.
This being anywhere close to Men just hurts my soul. That movie, talk about never gonna watch again.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
no offense
wait,
to Alex Garland, but
wait, averaged out though. I mean, it's
yeah,
it-
this is
it's
fine.
actually not. It's actually not bad. Yeah.
It's not. No, it's like I
For
said,
fuck's
there are
sake,
worse-
Kill Bill Volume 2 is 83, fellas,
I know, and
and that's a very good movie.
Yeah.
So
like I, honestly,
Yeah,
like I honestly feel like where it averaged out there is probably pretty.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with that.
No,
Like,
it is.
It's below Civil War. It's below 28 Days Later, but it's in there
Yep,
with
I
other
agree.
movies like Barbie, Suicide Squad. Sorry to bother you. I think objectively, like with my own opinions erased from it, that's probably like a pretty solid ranking.
Yeah,
like
I agree with
for
that.
the group there.
I would
I
agree.
totally agree with that.
I mean, First Gladiator's 84.
Very true.
That's fair. All right, whatever.
Man, Top Gun Mavericks in 88.
Anything
good movies here,
anything below
fellas.
100, you could pick anything and have a great
Yeah,
movie
that's
night. Like
yeah,
as we've
that's
said
basically
multiple
true.
times before. If we're just picking a movie to watch, anything below 100, you are in for
Yeah.
a fucking treat.
Yeah, we need to discuss. I mean, we have discussed and just more serious discussion about making this a
Tiers?
tier list.
I don't.
Yeah, because
I think this is the beauty of it, though, brother.
well, so not
That's
getting
the
rid of
beauty of
not
it.
getting rid of necessarily the ranking order and everything like that, but having a line basically where we show like anything above this line we consider a S tier movie
Yeah.
or anything above this line, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, we'll iron that out. I have a vision.
I agree.
We can make that work, but I think we need more visually to be able to represent, because some people might not. There's.
I agree
we needed
99% of the
workshop
time.
that.
This is like the scenario where like one of us is just like, fuck this movie, or like this movie's amazing, where like that does kind of skew in some ways, But I also understand how, like, it would it'd still fit, right? Yeah, it would still be like it would even out to like
kind of
a C
idea.
tier. Yeah.
Of like, these are our our ratings as a collective are still going to be our ratings as a collective. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
That's
you're
what
right.
these rankings are. So if we just assign tiers, that just ends up being like the four of us together, what we attribute to a movie. So
Entropy list was your idea to begin with. So like if we need
I
to
know.
adjust.
And again, I'm not saying we do away with it. I'm just saying we kind of we just give some organizations some rating
I'm with it.
levels to
I'm
it.
not opposed. I'm not opposed.
Again,
opposed.
we'll discuss.
I'm good. We're good.
All right, for sure. Anyway, that discussion can happen at another day. We are very long on time. Holy
Sorry,
crap.
guys. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. This is a great episode. A very good conversation. But let's move on out of here swiftly. Next week's review, Sinners. When we've been
so
talking
excited.
about, kind of waiting for a minute. I'm excited too. Everything I've been hearing is
so
great.
Fucking excited.
Seeing that 10-minute video of Ryan Coogler talking about film aspect ratios and film types, just I wasn't like I was like looking forward to this movie. That made me excited.
No,
that was a great piece of marketing.
Coogler's one of my boys. He's I think that dude has yet to make a bad movie, and I think
I agree. I would agree with you.
He's on something. Like I think I can't speak to it because he's on something else that like I don't understand. But he's great, man. I
like him a lot.
He and Michael B. Jordan, I think they've got a great relationship. Like they are working on something great. I want anytime they make a movie, I will set aside time to go and see it.
Agreed. See this in IMAX. It is filmed for IMAX, and I've heard if you watch the Coogler thing, it seems like they do quite a lot with the aspect ratio for the movie. So seems like IMAX is the best format to see it in. In fact, on the AMC app, this is the first time I've seen this. It now says if you go to book Sinners for IMAX, it says filmed for IMAX.
I've seen that.
IMAX.
I've seen that sometimes before, but yeah, definitely.
I haven't seen that maybe once before, but it just caught my eye. It caught my attention because
it's an odd movie to
like
have it for. I will say, like I like a Christopher Nolan movie, expect it, but like Sinners, Ryan Coogler, probably not.
I mean, I didn't expect it, but the fact that it's happening makes me excited.
100%.
Again, especially after watching that 10-minute video of him talking about film, I was just like,
no,
I just want to
smart.
I want to see this movie just to. Oh yeah, oh my god.
Like
yeah.
he
anyway,
seems like just a mensch in general.
Yeah, one of those almost film savant types, kind
100%.
of.
Yeah, that dude operates on a different level.
Yeah, but his passion for like just film type and film aspect ratio and like what kind of format to go see this in, I was just like, oh yes, dude, you get it, I get it. Like I'm sure you get it more than I do. Don't get me wrong, but like I can love that. But go see Sinners. Go do that. And then join us for our review of that next week. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the episode. If you can, do us a favor. Share the podcast. Share with a friend. Share with a family member. Share with a platoon member. Wear headphones. Got to be quiet at night. But yeah, please share the podcast while you're doing that. Follow us on Twitter, Banter Row. On YouTube, we're just Back Row Banter. Go subscribe to us there. And our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com if you want to send us one of those. We typically read those out on the podcast for everyone else to hear. So feel free to do that if you feel so inclined. I'll go with my plugs quick here. You can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H. That's AYYSH. Still plugging away at Letterboxd. I think I finally have gotten the habit down.
Rhythm. There you go.
I've got the rhythm down, and I don't foresee myself getting shaken off of the rhythm. Now featured on my Letterboxd. I believe the list is public. I have been ranking every new movie in 2025 as I've seen it. So every time a new movie comes out, put it on my little list. It's called 2025 Ranked. and we're just gonna see where that list stacks out by the end of the year, and just kind of keep track of every new movie, I should say, that I've watched in the year. So follow along on Letterboxd. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Yo, Letterboxd BlakeHolder, similar to Adam, logging things, rating them out of 5 stars. PSN, Xbox, Mr. Water Coolers. I did end up playing Rainbow Six Siege the other week for the first time. In probably about 2 years.
Lots changed, I'm sure.
Oh my God, yeah. As you can imagine, it was a learning curve. Got the bases down still, right? But
and you'll find the operators you remember are like still a lot of the operators that are
they're still meta. They're still for the most part.
Yeah, the first like 3 years of operators are still the most viable. I think now that the game has been out for almost a decade, dude. Holy crap.
It is. It's a decade. They're in year 10 right now.
Yeah.
That seems bad.
But now that it's been out for so long, no, it's a good thing. The new operators are like just so niche that like there are like certain maps they're good on, but like they're not as universally applicable. The first like 3 years of operators are still probably the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was able to get to that. So Adam, if you ever want to jump on, I know it's been a while, but we used to play.
I haven't played on Xbox. I haven't played in a while. I've been PC for the last few years. So
let me know, man. Yeah,
I can still run it on Xbox. My controller skills are still there. I'd have to like, it's a different game. It's wildly different game on PC and Xbox. So we'll
just
talk.
so you know, I'm new back in it as well right now.
Okay.
Right.
Good to know.
We'll see how much I continue pplaying it, but that was fun to get on there with a few buddies. And
it's still good, man.
That's all I got. But we'll go to Adam for the hell of it.
I already plugged. Tyler.
Sorry.
You're good.
You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES, Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at NS Gingrich. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Do I have anything else? Blue Sky. You can find me on Nathaniel G, I think. Or NS Gingrich. One of the two. You can find me there. Join us next week, folk. We'll be talking about Sinners. I'm sure we'll be much more positive on that one. But if you have enjoyed our time for this whole time, as Adam says, you are our favorite type of listener, and we will be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
I don't think you guys will ever see me with serious facial hair.
See,
I didn't say that now.
I was gonna say I used to say that
unless
as well
I can
too.
start growing it out more. All I can grow is the goatee, and it does not look good right now. So like,
see, but I was
unless
like,
I can start growing it out.
I was in the
So
same
you
boat.
say that, and then you do it, and then people just end up liking it, and then you end up liking it, and because a lot of people always gave me shit. They're like, dude, your mustache is like pretty thin, and then sooner or later everyone's just like, dude, iconic. And then Nathaniel was like, I kind of
dig it.
kind of style my whole look after you.
I don't know if you could tell, but I kind of
we'll see what happens the next few years.
I'm not off this doll I made.
We'll get Blake to grow his hair out, and then all of our emotes for the banner will all have the same facial hair, the same haircut. We'll just be different people.
Have we asked Blake, does his hair fro if he like grows it out? I feel like we've had to have this discussion at some point.
I feel like it. I've never asked him. I've just always seen him and imagine him as bald. But he like clearly now you can see he's got like 5 o'clock shadow. It doesn't look like he's got like a receding hairline or anything like that.
Imagine it's just like
I'm a bald guy.
Imagine if he grew it out and it's just like the Andre 3000 like straight hair.
Like who's the guy from the Bulls? Was that Jimmy?
Jimmy Butler,
who
who straightened his hair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's all I hopped in on is the Jimmy Butler like roster photo.
Well, we were talking about you.
We were like, because I've never asked you about your hair. I was like, I've just always pictured Blake as bald. I don't know if he ever had like a receding hairline issue or anything like that just made him shave his head one day, or if he was just like woke up one day and he's like, I'm just bald. That's who I am.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you guys were, so I'll give you some lore on it. So if you guys remember, when I first started working at Best Buy, I did have short hair. If
Okay.
if anyone can
I
recall
feel like
that.
I vaguely
But you gotta go
remember
back.
that.
don't remember.
Yeah, you got to go back.
I
You know what I mean?
I barely remember that.
'Cause I
Maybe.
cut my hair. I want to say it was right before COVID, like January 2020.
Okay. So
January
Okay, that makes
2020,
sense.
February 2020.
if it did grow out, would it grow big?
I mean, now the fact that I've been shaving it for so long, probably not.
Yeah.
Right? I'm probably cooked. Yeah. But
I-
that being said, I wanted to cut it. I was going to Los Angeles for a podcast, funny enough, for a podcast with some friends. So it was me, Tay, Deji, and my other homie Taylor. And I needed a haircut before I can get there, and I couldn't get a haircut. I was like, I'm just gonna buzz my head and go. Then I buzzed it, and I actually think it looked good. And for
That
better or
makes
worse, I've really kept it since then. But at this point now, because I've buzzed it so many times and I've shaved it so many times, I don't think I'd have a proper hairline to even like grow hair.
That's what we were saying.
I agree. It does look good.
I mean, that's without a doubt. But we were saying, like, what if it grew out just like dead straight? Like you had like the Jimmy Butler hair, but just naturally
Oh, that's sick.
afterwards.
Yeah. That's sick. Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy Butler is also a psychopath.
True.
Is also.
I feel like a lot of professional athletes get there at some point. So
Yeah.
Get there in terms of a psychopath, or get there in terms of
yes.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, no.
This psychopath, yeah.
I'm fully of the opinion nowadays that the professional sports is just at the level that there are no normal people that can compete anymore. Like to get to a professional level in a sport
you gotta
nowadays,
be-
like you just are a psycho.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you. I came to that conclusion a long time ago. Like I don't know. I think there's something a little bit wrong with your brain where you can like go there, and like I respect it, no doubt about it. But like,
Well, yeah, back in the day, it used to be like that mindset was like unbelievable. Like you used to
Right.
strive for like that kind of mindset, that dedication, and now it's just like, well, 20 years later after your career, it kind of ruins you.
well, and
Yeah,
like,
right,
like
sure.
it used to be like professional sports used to be like, it was your side job. You were a fucking dock worker, and then at the nights you would go and like play for
Yeah, right.
things, right?
Then you go play for the New
Yeah.
York Knicks.
Yeah,
right? With
exactly.
cigs on
Or like the like I think
sideline.
first Super Bowl dudes are fucking punching darts on like at halftime and shit.
Yeah,
Like half
yeah,
the guys are in
sure.
suits, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just a different level nowadays where like to have that like, and I think it all happened like around the 80s 90s, like to go to that next level where like sports became international or national, at least, where like you could watch any team at any time, and then
Mhm.
beyond that, like the money started rolling in, and then it was like you had those singular talents, your Jordans, your Roger Clemens, your I don't know a football one. I'm not that smart, but like in that era that were that like genre defining, and then everyone I feel like got that mindset, and now only the psychopathic survive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good point, man. And even to Tyler's point, yeah, that mindset, like it's awesome for professional sports, but then like outside of that in the real world, I mean,
Oh yeah, you're
a
cooked.
lot of those guys fail to adapt, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then,
Which like rightfully so makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
You've known nothing your entire life but to fucking play sports at a high level, and then you're 38 and you don't play your sport anymore, right? And you still have,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Like I remember
God
David
willing, another 50 years of living.
I remember
the fuck are you gonna
David Foster Wallace talking about it, and he was like because he was a tennis pretty good tennis player, and he was like
Okay.
it got to the point when I was in high school where someone sat down and was like, you can be a pretty good college player, right? But like to do that, you are going to now have to live your life in kind of X amount of ways. And like that is,
Yeah.
and in the way he describes it, he's like, it's basically you're a monk. Like you are waking
Yeah.
up every day doing these things. You don't go out with your friends.
Yeah.
You don't live a normal life as everyone else. Like you are committing completely to it. And then you just don't have a normal life. And now you throw in fucking social media with all that shit, and like the
Yeah,
idea
it's
of
horrible,
like
for sure.
you have to build
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
platform to like, to have part of that too. And like no wonder everyone's brain is toast.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you're not just a player anymore. You're a brand.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that actually opens up a conversation me and one of my friends were having the other week. I think this was Tay, if I'm not mistaken, and it was about just like I honestly think being like the D-list celebrity is like the coolest shit in the world. Whether it's like an actor, whether it's like a musician, whether you're just famous from I don't know, it can
Comedians,
even-
dude.
yeah, anything. We're just like you have enough money to like do like whatever you really want to do. You can go anywhere without paparazzi. You don't need security.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while, somebody might walk past you and be like, "Holy shit, you're that guy." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then
100%.
shake some hands, take a
It's
photo.
the,
but you can walk through New York and nobody cares. You can go to Paris and nobody cares. That's peak in my opinion.
it's the backup quarterback
Yeah, like
effect.
if we
Like that's the best job in sports is to be the backup quarterback because like you're just never
Yeah, for
really
sure.
gonna get like too much, but you're gonna be at all the big games.
Well, what I heard recently too is like for athletes especially, NHL hockey players haven't
it's
made
the perfect
because you're
ones.
making millions.
Yes, yeah, hockey's are the
Yeah,
guys.
you're making millions,
but no one knows who you are.
dude. Like no one knows who you are. You could walk down the street and Alex Ovechkin could pass me, and if he doesn't smile and I see missing teeth, like I would never recognize him.
Yeah.
Like, and that's I mean, obviously there are hockey fans and dedicated ones too that will recognize you, but for the most part, you're not getting stopped on the street like that.
But that's the part of it, right? Like that's the greatness of being like that D or E list celebrity where you're very well known in like a small niche group of people. Right? But then outside of that, like, no man, you can
See,
fucking go to the airport
I
and
wanna
wear
be-
regular clothes and sit in a plane. Nobody fucking knows who you are. You sit next to a regular guy. That's awesome, dude.
I want to be like
Yeah.
one rung below that. I want to be like the bullpen catcher. Like just the dude that like, he makes like 150 grand a year, but like we bring him along for everything and like no one knows who he is. Like I don't ever want to be
you get to like
stopped.
you get to reap the benefit of like the upper echelon
Yeah.
tiers, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, yeah, I hear you.
But like,
I hear
I
you,
don't
man.
have to do
I hear you.
anything.
Yeah, I hear you, dude. I think that's got to be one of the most satisfying things.
Who was it on the Eagles who recognized? I think it was who's the running back? No, it's not. It wasn't Saquon. I don't. Maybe it was Saquon. But it was at their Super Bowl parade.
Oh, it was Saquon.
And,
Yeah, he
like,
like saw the
it
ball
was
boy or
Saquon?
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like,
the
picked
ball
him up
boy
over.
for the Eagles
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
invited at the parade, so he went, and then Saquon recognized him, dapped him up, and then was like, "You didn't get." You can see them lip read. You didn't get invited to the parade. And guy shakes his head, and he just bear hugs and pulls him over the barricade.
Fuck out of here, dude.
It's
You're
like,
welcome
yeah, it's like
anytime.
that kind of situation would be cool too.
Yeah. Another funny clip of the Eagles as well is after they won the NFC Championship game, a handful of players went to a game where the 76ers were playing the Lakers.
Oh, sure.
So there's a lot of post game stuff, and they're talking to LeBron at the end of the game, and you can tell none of them there have ever met LeBron James in real life.
Oh,
And
so
you can just see the
they're all
total
a little
star
like
difference. of, like,
starstruck. Yeah.
yeah, it's even like notable players like your Jalen Hurts, your AJ Brown,
Yeah, they're
your,
just
your
like,
best
oh, shit,
players on the
that's
team,
LeBron.
right?
Yeah,
Saquon
man.
Barkley, they're like, holy shit, that's LeBron James. And it's like that, even being
Yeah.
in their position would be terrible to me because they already seem well known enough. But like, I can't even imagine being fucking LeBron. That sounds
That's got to be so lonely.
horrible.
Like there's only a handful of spaces where
Oh
you
my
feel
God.
comfortable and welcome, and everybody knows you. Like
it'd be
everywhere
weird.
else you go.
I mean, I guess for
It
him,
looks horrible.
it's for him. He's had it since he was like what 16, right? Like he's
Yeah, so
fully
he's probably
grown
used
up.
to it. That's,
He's-
that's
yeah,
the time.
yeah.
That's half his life, more than half his life.
But like I feel like it even has to be weird for him as a sports person. Like it's one thing if you're Taylor Swift, right, and you're out performing for people like that all the time, and it is about you. But for him, like on some level, it's supposed to be like, well, I'm here for the team, and like I play
Yeah.
this sport, and like I'm just really good at it, kind of thing. Even there's this whole brand around him, kind of thing too.
Yeah.
It's gotta be strange.
It's fascinating, man, and that clip was so eye opening as well, and I'm sure we all know it, but then to see it play out in real time, it's
Yeah.
just like hilarious. They're like taking photos, and then like you can just hear the conversation like read lips on the side, and like they're hesitant to like ask for another photo if they don't like the photo.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like, it's just weird, dude. It's
Yeah.
like that's crazy.
It's
These people
seeing
are
a-
like super millionaires, incredibly famous, but they're like, holy shit, that's LeBron James. I don't want to do too much.
Yeah,
I don't want to ask for a lot. And
superstars
LeBron,
acting
to
like
his-
normal
his
people.
point, Yeah, right, exactly. They were acting out like normal people. And to LeBron's part, granted they are famous as well, the other people, but like he seemed like relatively chill about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He's like, oh, you don't like the photo, man? Like, fuck it, we can take another one. And it's like, you know what? That's what. It's simple.
Yeah.
LeBron's one of those guys you've got to catch him in a good mood because I totally like or in a good
with anybody.
scenario as with anybody, but I think him especially like if you ask him at a bad time, he will be an asshole. But like
He's
for the
earned it
most
at
part, I
this
think
point.
if you catch
That
him on
man-
a
that
decent
man's
day,
40.
Which, like,
Like,
contrary,
Yeah.
maybe not a hot take, but like, I kind of understand that, right? If I'm
Yeah.
Same.
incredibly wealthy,
the older I get, the
and
more.
incredibly famous, but like, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm just talking over you as I fucking always do. No, go ahead.
No,
as
no
well,
worries,
too.
man. But yeah, if you're like, I kind of understand that when the people are like on dates with their spouse, so they have their children around, and people are like, "Hey, man, can I get an autograph?" It's like,
100%.
dude, get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here, dude.
100%.
Like, I'm trying to sit here and eat
Or
dinner
like
with my
the,
family. Like, no,
there's-
I'm not signing an autograph.
I see it a lot on like the behind the scenes stuff for like the UFC or anything, and like whenever any of the fighters get to a airport, there's always someone there like asking them to sign a bunch of shit, and you just know
Yeah.
that they're going to like turn that around and try and sell it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And that's
fucking
where
horrible.
like I would be fucking like as an athlete, I'd be like, this is a fucking nightmare. Now a little kid
Yeah.
sitting there like wants me to get his autograph, 100%, right?
Totally
But,
different. Yeah, and I think most, at least, I don't know.
I'm
right?
sure they're like
you would
that, right,
imagine
too,
most
right?
athletes are okay with signing
Right.
children's memorabilia and shit like that. Like, hey, my son's got a jersey, of
100%.
course. But you're an adult. I'm like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to eat dinner with my wife. Get the fuck out of here.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not signing your shirt. So it's weird, man. Moral of the story: that D-list celebrity is awesome.
More of the story: people are
Agreed.
fucking people, man. They all shit sitting down. So,
Yeah,
I don't
very
know.
true. Very true.